welcome to the next project. This is a video I didn't plan on making, but I purchased a new product and I wanted to pull it out of the box and put it right to work. But I ended up finding a bunch of little issues, one right after another, and I wanted to share it with you. And what I suggest, if you do get a new product and it has issues, either take it back to the store or contact customer support, get it replaced, get it resolved. Don't bother taking it apart. You don't want to avoid your warranty by fixing something that the factory didn't quite get right. Anyway, I needed to get this out of the box and put to work on a number of projects, so I didn't really have time to jump through the hoops of getting it replaced. I'm not knocking this product at all. Once I fixed the little issues that it has, it works great. It's a great product, but it didn't come out of the box that way. So let's start the next project. Right out of the box, this thing looks pretty good. It's kind of stripped down skeletal version of its predecessor, but that aside, as I picked it up, pulled it out of the box and set it on the floor, and I went to take a look at it, I moved it and I heard something kind of rattle, kind of wobble around and rattle. And let's see if you can hear it. Did you hear that? There's something down in there. Well, I just picked it up and wiggled it around, and you know, it's not that heavy. It's kind of heavy, but not heavy. Just wiggled it around, tried to get whatever was in there to roll to an opening, like whether the vent openings or toward the top oscillating mechanism opening, and this little guy fell out. See if I can show you. So hopefully that's the only thing that's rolling around. The question is, where does that go, and is it important? Should it be screwed in somewhere that it's not? Loose rolling around in there. So what are my options? Well, I could call customer support, visit with them. I'm sure they're nice people. I could box this up and send it back and get a new one. That would probably waste another week of time. I could pull that cover off the motor and oscillating mechanism and take a peek in there. I'm guessing there's probably just a few screws that hold it on, and hopefully it's just a spare part that fell in during manufacture. I think we'll take a look. Let's continue the next project. Still looking it over. In general, it's a pretty cool looking machine. I hope it all works well. I'm kind of questioning whether I got a B stock or a returned item. And not that it doesn't look used, but it almost looks like it's been repaired before it got shipped out. The deck is nice and true and straight, but it has like a sprayed on coating on it. Powder coat maybe originally, but then this one maybe had a defect in it, so they spray bombed it, it looks like. Let's see if we can take a look at that. You can see right there, looks like there was a scratch in the original finish. And it's probably not showing up very well on film, but there's a little area, pretty much the same color, but not quite the same color. It's like they spray bombed over a scratch. So that's two things. Strange screw that fell out of there, not sure where it goes. A brand new factory blemish here. So we'll keep looking it over and see what is next. More little odd things going on. I have the spindle in the top here, and I fired it up. I was going to sand a piece, and let's see if it'll do it now. Can you hear that? Annoying rattly buzzing noise came from, and it's what's called the table lock bolt. What it is there's a bolt that runs from, you know, it has like a carriage head on one side and runs all the way through from left to right. It has a adjusting or locking hand nut on the right hand side as you face the machine. And that bolt is actually inside of a tube then, which is used as basically a big spacer between the left and right hand side. And I get it, it's a simple design, makes sense, but it creates a really annoying buzz. But I think we can fix it. It's something that shouldn't need to be fixed, but we can fix it. Well, still chipping away at it. I was just getting ready to put it away so I could work on an actual project. And as I picked it up, and it made this clanking noise. I'm like, what the heck is that? And you know, maybe it's just something under spring tension that's not under spring tension, but let's take a look. Something's definitely not attached in there. So I'm guessing that screw that fell out is important and means something. So, do I call the number on the box and talk to customer support? Do I take it apart? I might take it apart and look at it, and then I'll call customer support. Well, taking this thing apart was really enjoyable. A lot of little screws. Well, Torx head screws and various things. Honestly, more questionable assembly. I had to take the welded base frame part off to get to the motor housing. Also pull the switch cover off to remove 2 cable restraints to get the motor cover off. And right in front of me, as soon as I pulled the motor cover off, was the problem. That loose screw that we found when I first pulled this thing out of the box, well, I know exactly where it goes now, and yes, it is required. Let's take a look. So with the motor cover pulled off, we see this part right here. That doesn't look like it belongs there. Doesn't belong there either. Looks like it should bolt on right here. Let's see if that screw fits, or if there are even any threads in that hole. It really looks like that belongs in there. So how did they not get that put in? I mean, not even close. Maybe it was lunchtime. We'll go with that. Or 5 o'clock on a Friday, or whatever that special time is, wherever this thing was assembled. After I got that shoulder screw threaded into that connecting rod, I was looking at the other side and I was like, it looks like there's a little washer in there. And I was like, oh great, that probably fell off with the shoulder screw that wasn't installed properly. So I looked at the instructions, and it has a really good exploded diagram of all the bits and pieces and parts for this thing, which is nice. And then I was like, oh crap, that thing's probably gone. It probably fell out of the motor cover. Well, I went looking, and sure enough, I found a little washer. For that shoulder screw. So now I'm going to take it apart again, put this extra piece back in, and button it up, hopefully. And I got to get busy on other projects. I've wasted my morning working on this, but it's better than sending it back in this case. And don't tell anybody, you know, I didn't do any of this work. In fact, I don't recommend anybody else do this work. If you get something that's broken, take it back to the store or read the box. If they say call the manufacturer, call the manufacturer, have them take care of it. But I wanted everybody to see what does happen on occasion. You know, apparently I got kind of a end of day Friday or a lunch hour assembly part, and it happens. Let's continue the next project. There we go. Okay, so that thread's in there nice. I probably should put some Loctite on it. I wish I knew where my Loctite was. Put a little bit of, there we go. Okay, that's on. I have to hope that this one's snugged up. And there's the same kind of thing on this other side. It has a different style screw in it, but that's probably because it's going into a different type of casting there. I shouldn't call it casting, it's probably a machined part. But that should take care of the rattling. I kind of want to fire it up and see if it works now. That'd be scary. Right along, installed the belt assembly, ran it up. It runs about 83 decibels with no load, just running free, so that my decibel meter said that's a busy street. So it didn't seem bad, but I think depending on what you stick into it, you know, you're going to get abrasive noise and chatter from various things, I think. So I added on the little stop piece that's used to help keep wood from flying across the room, supposedly. Again, maybe not overly impressed with this. I probably won't use it much anyway, but if I do, I know what to expect. So let's take a look. There's a little tab bent into it here, which goes into a slot there. A slit for a thumb screw to go into. And you can see that this can move back and forth to allow adjustment, placement. Problem is, there's a lot of slop in there, and you can hear it. It's hitting the belt right up in here. So tighten down. Yeah, tighten down. There's a lot of play. initial test on some sapele wood and also some MDF. It cuts really well. It's got 80 grit discs, so it's fairly aggressive. But what about dust collection? Well, it just so happens that this has a great big dust port, exhaust port on the back of it that matches, believe it or not, my Ridgid shop vac dust, or shop vac hose. There we go, that's it. So the exhaust port on the Ridgid sander matches the hose diameter on my Ridgid shop vac. Surprising. Well, the dust collection works pretty well just using a Ridgid shop vac with this. You know, I'm pleased with how little dust is flying all over everything. There's a little bit in the trailing end, the narrow end of the belt, but that's to be expected. Otherwise, it did a great job. The downside to it is the extreme noise now, because you got a shop vac and a sander running, and the shop vac's actually louder than the sander. There is, however, another strange sound coming out, and it's the weird oscillation of probably both motors running and the vacuum and the oscillating feature of the belt or the sander itself. So you get this sounding from the whole apparatus running at one time. It's uncomfortably loud without ear protection running the shop vac and the oscillating spindle sander. So that's not a big deal, though. I usually wear hearing protection. So overall, this initial run through of it, I'm impressed with how it works. I'm a little disappointed with the fine details of making sure there aren't loose parts and rattling noises and things like that. I give it I give it a 5 out of 5 for function. I give it about a 3 out of 5 for attention to detail. I think they cheaped out in a couple places and just barely missed the mark on a couple other little design features, but that's just me griping. I'm not sending it back because of the extra parts floating around inside of it, nor the scratch in the deck. I don't care. It's a tool, it's going to get used, it's going to get scratched. If it doesn't get scratched, then you're not using it. It comes with a 5-year limited liability warranty or something like that. Read the instructions, the manual, which is fine with me. If I break a tool, I break a tool. It's not necessarily the tool's fault. I mean, the motor could smoke. If it does, it's going to happen within the first 5 years. If it happens after that, I'm lucky I've got my use out of it already. Is it worth the $250 bucks? Yeah, I think so. Hope you've enjoyed this quick video. Be safe and take care.